I remember when I first started Warframe, a lot of my friends recommended the Supra Vandal to me. It looked amazing, it was shiny, metallic, it fired a whole lot of these light projectiles and I wanted one. I said, hey guys, where can I get one? And they were all snob about it, like, you can't has one, it's only from battle and your mastery rank 3, haha, haha, haha. Well, time passed and I eventually got the Supra Vandal and I loved it. It was a fantastic experience. It was back then the most powerful primary weapon I have ever used. But time flies and things change. Can the Supra Vandal still pack a punch? Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today, my friends, we're going to be diving deeper into this fantastic primary weapon. As per the usual, I'm going to have a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, something affordable, something that most players will be able to build. But of course, we also have the quote-unquote endgame setup for a crazy Riven. That said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides usually take a new player-friendly approach. I like to take my time and explain a lot of the aspects that veteran players should already be accustomed to. So, in case you're a veteran and you already know most of the stuff, please, bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Supra Vandal. But before all that, this video is brought to you by me and all the fantastic people that choose to support the content. Thank you guys so much. Want to get access to fantastic perks such as loyalty badges, custom wallpapers, and the option to vote on what I work on next? That's how this review happened, by the way. Check the link in the cards right now or click on the join button, which is next to the subscription button. You can support the channel via Patreon, YouTube membership, or even Twitch subs. Links are in the description down below. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, just a couple of free shots. The Supra Vandal is a true blue bullet hose, or more specifically, a projectile hose in this case, because you are firing a whole lot of these little projectiles. Now, when it comes to projectiles, you got travel time, right? And the travel time on this one is pretty solid, but still, leading your target is definitely a thing on the Supra Vandal, depending on the distance between you and said target. Let's talk about magazine capacity, my friends. Have you seen anything more beautiful than 300 magazine capacity? You're gonna say 301, but that's not the point. The point is this one has a really large magazine, so of course adding something like fire rate will be extremely useful to the weapon. And I think that's pretty much it. The weapon is accurate for the most part, but again, you are dealing with projectiles. Recoil is basically non-existent in the sense that it does climb a little bit. See that? Climbs a little bit, but at full fire rate it does stabilize. It takes about a second and a half to reach full fire rate, so you can also say it has a very small wind up or spool up to it. Now let's have a look at them stats, my friends, them stats and all whatnot. By the way, if you don't have the Supra Vandal, you can pick it up from Battleketeer Von Void Trader. He brings the Supra Vandal every month or two, something like that, and yes, it's still worth picking up. My weapon has been formatted a total of 8 times, but for the weapon build I'm recommending you guys 4 formats should be enough. Mod capacity 60 out of 60, and in case your Supra Vandal has only 30 out of 30, jump into actions and plug in the Auto King Catalyst, which will be doubling your mod capacity. You can pay 20 plat for this one, you can grind it from Nightwave, you can get a blueprint from the Daily Sortie, and sometimes, just sometimes, it appears on alerts and invasions after dev streams. Now, accuracy 28.6, and let me tell you a trick, this trick, you go with heavy caliber, right? Right. That's not the trick. Hold on, the trick is coming. Multi-shot with split chamber vigilante armaments, just so we can see how bad the projectiles get. From my point of view, you can play with it like this, if you so desire. Again, it's not super horrible. You see that? Most of the projectiles are still kinda landing in the crosshairs. But my friends, if that's not enough for you, weapon Exilus mod slot, which is actually useful for once. No, really. No, seriously. Have you heard of this mod? Yeah, I know. Recently, we weren't able to use it. This is a former Conclave mod. Well, it still is a Conclave mod, I guess, but you can use it. Or, I don't know. Anyway, directed convergence plus 100% accuracy when aiming. So let's test out the effect now with heavy caliber and multi-shot. Because you can go for something like this if you want to use heavy cal. Take a look at that. We're back to almost pinpoint accuracy. Beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. So there you go. You have a solution for heavy caliber. Before directed convergence, what we could use in that slot was something called, hold on, I forgot what it's called, accuracy, right? Okay, guided ordnance. This is on hit, only 30%. When aiming for 9 seconds, this is just a flat 100% when aiming. So, there you go. Keep that one in mind. Critical chance, the base critical chance, 16%, which is right on the edge of worth it. Yes, it's still worth it to go with crit chance and crit damage. I'm sorry, it is, okay, it's mathematically it is worth it to go with crit chance and crit damage. So there you go. 2.0 critical multiplier is decent. Again, this is the most common critical multiplier throughout Warframe. Fire rate of 12.5. It is highly indicated you increase that one because you got that glorious magazine of 300 projectiles and a multi-shot by default of 1. Noise alarming, of course, the reload of 3 seconds. Now, of course, the reload is long, but again, you got 300 projectiles in that magazine. Riven disposition 3 out of 5, right smack in the middle, which means that the Supra Vandal does have decent Rivens for it. I still think it's worth it to get a Supra Riven. Status chance sky high, 30% base. Trigger auto, as you saw, and when it comes to the damage, we got impact, puncture, and slash, and the highest amount by a pretty significant margin is gonna be puncture. Puncture on a status proc basically reduces the enemy damage, so bear that one in mind. You might say, goat slash, yay, make it do the slasher. Yeah, slash again. Yeah, sure, we'll do that. Fang Fusulu, new. Okay, you see that? Hold on, let me just clarify things just a little bit for you so you can see exactly the difference. There you go. So you go from 6 to 13.2, you're still not close to the 30.0 of puncture. You might go with sawtooth clip as well if you ever heard of this mod, nobody uses it. Even with this one, it's still not enough. Even with 2 Fang Fusillades, it wouldn't be enough. I think you would need something like 3. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into a standard build. And we got damage acceleration, multi-shot with split chamber, critical chance, critical damage combo between point strike, vital sense, and of course, Hunter Munitions had to be here as well. 30% chance to apply a slash on critical hit. One of the most overpowered primary mods in Warframe. You also got the 60-60 vital mods between Malignant Force and Rhyme Rounds. Now these are 5 to 10 plat apiece on the PC trade chat. Malignant Force can be farmed from Corrupted Vor in the Void and Rhyme Rounds from Spy Missions. Again, it's not hard to farm and they're not expensive at all, and you gotta have them in your inventory. We still have 2 mods to populate the weapon, right? The weapon Exilus mod slot, which I did not populate simply because it depends on your last slot. This is your option slot of choice. Plug into this one whatever you feel comfortable with. Here's an option, right? I'm gonna go with heavy caliber. Why not? 165% damage at the cost of minus 55% accuracy, which I can offset with directed convergence, okay? So this would be one build you can go for. We're gonna be trying it out like so, and then we're gonna be changing a couple of things up. Level 120 Corrupted Heavy Goons as per the usual. We're gonna go straight for headshots. Let's take a few meters like this. Hit the target till about 50%, and I think it's pretty clear, my friends, to say that the Supra Vandal still packs one serious punch. And again, I got a whole lot of bullets, right? I got 300 bullets in my magazine, so I can just keep on firing. Even if I miss a couple, it doesn't really matter all that much. From my point of view, this is a weapon that can still compete, especially considering that there's nothing expensive on the build. Essentially, I killed all of these guys and I still have 100 projectiles left in my magazine. Absolutely freaking glorious from my humble point of view. But we can do something... We can do something a little different. We can look at some more fire rate. Considering that we have that huge magazine capacity, we can go with Vile Acceleration. Now, if you got Prime Shred, go for Prime Shred. Not a lot of people have Prime Shred because it's a login reward, right? So we can go for Vile Acceleration and 90% fire rate at the cost of 15% damage. Now, my friends, that 15% only from Serration. Okay, it takes 15% away from Serration, so don't worry about it too much. In this case, though, I don't really need directed convergence anymore, right? So what I can go for is terminal velocity and increase the projectile flight speed, which will make it a whole lot easier to aim. So this will be build number 2, my friends. Build number 2 on the same Corrupted Heavy Goons, level 120. I still can't control this guy's cloud of sorts. Again, for headshots, of course, I'm not doing as much damage, but I am releasing a lot of projectiles a whole lot quicker than before. And from my humble point of view, this is the way to play with the Supra Vandal. If you got that huge magazine capacity, flaunt it, use it to something, you know, and there's no easier way to increase your damage per second if you care about paper DPS than with fire rate. So I would suggest you go for a build such as this. As you can see, the weapon packs one serious punch, but you may run into ammo issues. If you do, drop a pad. Pads are not that expensive to make, you can get the blueprint really easily, but you can also use something like Carrier or Carrier Prime with ammo case, or you can use in your Weapon Exilus mod slot Vigilante supply. So again, ammo is not exactly an excuse anymore, there are plenty of ways to get your ammo back. Now, there's still a couple of builds which I do want to showcase really quickly. There's another mod for the Supra, specific for the Supra, that a lot of people love, and this one is called Entropy Burst. right? So we're gonna put out Vigilante Vile Acceleration because there's nothing else you can drop. What are you gonna drop? Hunter Munitions? You can't do it. These 4 are mandatory. You cannot drop these, even if you have a crit Riven or something like that. I heard people say, yeah, but I got crit or damage on my Riven, I can drop these. No! Don't drop these. It's suboptimal by far. Now, Entropy Burst. Take a look at this one, my friends. You get it from Cephalon Suda for 25,000 standing. Or from the trade chat, I think something like 10 plat. Yes, it is tradable. Plus 20 base, okay, base status chance, so it's absolutely huge. I went from 66 to 86%, plus 1 entropy as well. The entropy is a syndicate effect, it's absolutely fantastic, and I do recommend you guys trying this one out. So you can go for something like this, and of course, we're gonna keep terminal velocity because it's easier to aim like so. One more time, my friends, the Corrupted Heavy Goons, level 120. I like the Cloud Wukong Cloud. Once again, we're gonna hit a target at about 50%, then watch the slashes deal the damage. Now, I'm gonna get a lot more status procs when it comes to viral, so the value of the slashes should be going higher. Again, the value of your slash stick will depend on how many viral procs your target had at the time of the slash proc happened. That makes sense. Hopefully it made sense. So basically, if your target already has something like 10 vital procs and you slash it, you're gonna see huge values on that target. Something along these lines. So you can go for a build such as this as well. Besides, because of Entropy Burst, you get that Syndicate effect, which is huge. I cannot showcase that in the Simulacrum because there is no affinity game, but trust me, you wanna try out this build. My friends, all in all considering, I think the weapon performs very, very well. Yes, I know there's a lot of brand new Kuva weapons and we're gonna be getting kit gun primaries and all whatnot, but I still believe that the Supra Vandal is one outstanding primary weapon and I fully recommend it, even though it's not the end of the review. Now let's talk about Rivet mods, 3 out of 5 again. I tried to roll mine, I really did. This was one of the rolls, I'm sorry, this is the best I got. Thankfully, a friend loaned me this one. It's critical chance, critical damage, and damage. Now, my ideal Supra Riven would go something like this. Prior one, I would go with multi-shot. Even though if it's a CC build, okay, if it's a Hunter Munitions build, then you gotta go with CC as your first priority. Keep in mind that you can also use Argon Scope on a build such as this, right? You might not like Entropy Burst, and you might want to go for something like Argon Scope. Now, Argon Scope will get you a few more crits, okay? A couple more crits. You're gonna go to your critical chance 60%, something like that, which will mean a couple of more slashes out of Hunter Munitions. The reason why I don't really recommend Argon Scope all that often, or I leave it at the bottom of the pile, is not because it's not powerful. Sure, it's powerful, but not a lot of people have Argon Scope, okay? This one is obtained from the Acolyte event. In the Acolyte event, you're gonna see it once a year or twice a year, something along those lines. From the trade chat, I still think that it's going for about 100 plat, maybe 150. Check Warframe market before. So you can go for something like this as well if you want a few more slashes and a few more crits on your targets. Now, back to Rivens, yes. So again, if you're going for something like Hunter Munitions Prio, critical chance on your Riven. If not, the absolute Prio is multi-shot, okay, followed by critical chance and essentially damage after that. Ideally normal damage, not critical damage, and of course a harmless negative. I don't know if Supra Rivens can roll minus IPS. If they did, of course I would go with minus impact. I would not reduce the puncture because puncture has bonuses when it comes to heavily armored targets. I forgot the weapon Exilus mod slot though. Of course, terminal velocity, so it's easier to aim. And let's test out this puppy and see what she can do. 55% critical chance, 6.0 critical multiplier, the same corrupted heavy goons, level 120. Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what I miss on a build such as this? The fire rate. That's essentially what I miss on a build such as this. Now, of course, my friends, you don't necessarily need to go for viral. Against heavily armored targets, especially corrupted heavy gunners which are equipped with ferrite armor, you can go for corrosive. I still love corrosive, okay, but viral is the new meta right now. Not because it's like the best no matter the circumstances. It's like in 90% of the cases it's gonna be like the best choice you can go for. Simply because viral is that kind of an element that you can slap on the weapon and essentially go everywhere and it's gonna do okay or great, one of the two. But again, you can go for corrosive if you so desire. Now you can also try full status builds, okay, full status corrosive builds for example, but unfortunately they perform really underwhelming. I don't see any point in wasting your time with something like this. Doesn't mean you can't build it that way, it just means it doesn't perform all that hot. Speaking about hot, see that segue, fantastic, Lady Mirage. Prime, my friends, my favorite weapon buffer frame. Of course, you can go with Harrow as well. Harrow will help because he gives crit, which the weapon doesn't have a whole lot of. And of course, he also gives fire rate with his 2 abilities, so it would help the Supra Vandal. But I prefer Lady Mirage Prime. When it comes to buffs, you can go Rifle Lamp and 27% extra damage, but of course against Grenier the best choice will be Corrosive Projection, and yes, I finally got an Aura Forma and Mirage. And yes, I did Umbral Forma her twice, but that's because I love her. Don't do that, okay? Trust me, just leave it alone. When it comes to Arcanes, you might want to go with Arcane Rage R5. This one on headshot, a 15% chance for plus 180% damage to primary weapons for 24 seconds. This one is farmable from the 3rd Eidolon down on Cetus, just like Arcane Avenger R5. The most powerful offensive arcane in Warframe, from my humble point of view. Now this one, 21% chance on damage for plus 45% critical chance for 12 seconds. But this one is a bonus additive after effect, so it simply stacks on top of what you already have. For example, a weapon with 0% crit chance is gonna go with 45 as long as the buff is up. It applies to your primary weapon, to your secondary weapon, and to your melee as well. By all means, try to get an Arcane Avenger for your use. This being a primary weapon, we can do one more thing. Get yourself a Sentinel, my friends. Any Sentinel will do, and on that Sentinel's weapons, make sure you have the Vigilante mods. Offense, Supplies, Fervor, and Armaments. 20% chance to enhance critical hits from primary weapons, okay? So only for primary weapons, and even if your little Sentinel dies and never comes back to life, you're still gonna retain that bonus. You can also use the Djinn if you want to. The Djinn, yes, I heard the D is silent, they told me, Lazar, the D is silent, so I'm just gonna keep on saying Djinn. We're gonna be unpausing the AI so they can hit me and I can get me buffs. Activate Mirage's free ability for a fantastic damage increase, as well as her ever so lovely clones. Now let's see what this puppy can do. Of course, it shreds, and I'm not even gonna let up. I mean, I'm not taking my finger off the trigger. You know why? I got that fantastic magazine. I killed everything, and I still have, what, 200 bullets left. Of course, with Mirage Prime. My friends, the Supra Vandal may not be as exciting as some other Kuva weapons, or it may not be as exciting as the upcoming Kit Gun primaries, but from my humble point of view and from an objective point of view, it still packs one serious punch, and I do highly recommend it. So if you don't have it in your lineup, when Battle Kit brings it, make sure you snag a copy. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And if you got any sorts of feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Now, also in the comment section down below if you guys want to suggest any particular type of content. Now, in all honesty, I can't exactly promise you or guarantee that it will be done by next time or even within a week, because sometimes these things kind of take a while to make, but I can promise you that I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.